I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever. And I think that's our challenge as people, is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness.
Welcome to the Welcome to the 3-on-3 podcast. That's right. You are tuned in to the number one basketball podcast in the universe. I am joined with my guys, my compadres, my best friends, Lou, Evan, and the pod mamba in the background. We're all glad that failed on you, Evan. We're all happy to be here. Lou, great to see you. Happy to have you back, brother. We don't care what Christian says. Speak if you want to. Welcome back, brother.
Feels good. It feels great to be home.
Yes, sir. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Put that sound clip in there. Post edit, Pod Mamba. On this episode, we will be talking about the implosion that is the Phoenix Suns. What's going on over there? They're not shining too bright lately. We also will be diving into the Lakers and what's going on with them as they figure it out with LeBron being absent with this groin. And last but not least, we got a couple teams that are streaking right now. Golden State Warriors, Minnesota Timberwolves. Who do you believe in more? Who's actually a threat in this up-and-coming playoffs, which is, less than a month away? But let's get started with the Phoenix Suns. So they played the Lakers recently and lost. They started off really bad. Their shooting percentage, I think, in the first quarter was 37% in field goal percentage. Now, some would say it's because it was an early start. Some are giving the Lakers credit on their defense, et cetera, et cetera. But nonetheless, the Phoenix Suns dropped a win that they desperately needed as they're still on the outside looking in. When we're talking about the play-in, now this is a team that hosts Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker. Also, Bradley Beal did leave with hamstring tightness or soreness. And, but yet and still, I don't know what's going on here. I'm not kidding when I say this. They are the most perplexing team in the league to me, where on paper, they look like they should be a lot better. And I know there's a lot of teams that do that, right? Philadelphia comes to mind. But we kind of know what's going on with Philly, right? You got Joel who's injured. You got PG who's injured. And then there may be a culture thing looming maybe with Philadelphia. But with the Suns, I just literally do not understand it, you guys, and I need some help on this. Like, what is happening down in Phoenix? Whoever jumps in.
You know what the Suns make me think of, and you guys probably remember this from science class growing up, grade school. That organization is truly a supernova. Truly a supernova.
See what you did there.
For those who don't know, that's when a star explodes in its later years of its life. And we're looking at the players on that team at the later years of their careers, right? These guys aren't the spring chickens that they used to be. But I think there are a couple of things in play. One of them being the expectations that we have of these players. I think it's a bit skewed. Bradley Beal was stealing money for Lord knows how long, right? He's played less and got paid more. So him going to that team, maybe you think, okay, cool, he'll be able to supplement, but he's not your number one option. KD realistically hasn't done anything since he's been on the Warriors. And we know that KD's never been a leader. Look at every team that he's been on post at, right? And then when he did have success at OKC, it was right there with somebody who was a true leader.
You don't think he did something with his big toe on the line in Brooklyn?
I think that's his only successful year of the past 6 years since he left Golden State.
We're not going to count it. We're not going to count the big toe incident.
No, I count. I'll count that season as success for
Success?
KD. I mean,
Really?
had a solid year, had a year where his production, the team success, they were legitimately injured. Harden barely was making it through the playoffs. I think with his own hamstring injuries. Kyrie was hurt. So I think that year, yeah, you give success. But outside of that, and not to take you away from what you were saying, Lou, but yeah, I agree with you. It's hard to say what he's done in these past 5-6 years since he left Golden State. I, this team is so confounding to me because they've had every chance to at least get into the play-in. You have the Wemby injury that drops the Spurs out of contention. You have the AD and Kyrie injuries that should be dropping the Mavs all the way out of contention. Now, at the time of recording, the Suns are still a game and a half behind the Mavs. They could theoretically make up that space, but nothing that they're doing from the way they're looking recently gives you any confidence that they'd even be able to make up that space to make it into the 10th seed. Hans is curling his lip right now. I'm assuming he wants me to say something about Portland in
I'm
this,
just saying, like,
in
you
this
you
moment.
disrespecting my Portland Trailblazers. Like, we wasn't giving them heat, and like Ayton being injured is not a reason why we're losing in the standings. Like, we was giving them heat for a second. So yeah, I'm curling my lips. I'm glad. See, this is synergy because
I
I'm like,
was
whoa, hold
listen.
on. He
I
named
was
every
gonna
team
try.
around the Suns in the standing. If you look, he named every single
Look,
team
he
around
don't he don't
them.
really respect you. He really don't respect you or
At
your
all,
team.
son.
At
At
all.
all. He
At all.
literally went and named every single team around him. I'm surprised he
Yeah.
didn't go down to New Orleans. Zion not play. Like,
Did DeAndre Ayton slip on a slippery
Patch of ice.
patch of ice?
Patch
he
of
might
ice.
he might have. Yeah, he might have, man. I don't know what's
Hey
going on
man,
with DeAndre Ayton.
look man, and Devin Booker he's a fraud too. So just because you all those points you scored just to lose, all
But
he might have the record for most points consistently with losses. They're like
with
record
losses,
breaking points.
let me
So yeah,
ask
I
you
mean
this though. Could we
he's
not
what?
say let me ask you this though. Could we not say out of the three of them, he's been the most consistent on that team?
Well, what's interesting about it is that he's been consistent in his play, and I think he's only missed like 10 games this year. KD's only missed like 10 games this year. He's still giving you right at 27 a game, 26 and a half. I think that's part of the part that's so confounding about this team, that it's like, what is the problem? You have a team that 2 years ago, they lose in the second round to Denver 4-2. KD got traded there, before the trade deadline. So it was like, okay, they're just getting together. They just need some more help, right? You come in next year, they get swept by Minnesota after making the Bradley Beal trade, and you're looking, but they were still 6 in the West. You're looking like, okay, maybe a year together with some more talent, bring in some more role players, they'll be better this year. You get rid of Vogel, you bring in Budenholzer, you got a new voice, but it's like they're making moves to get better, but they're getting definitively worse. Their defense is shot. I mean, 27th
That's
in
what I was gonna
defensive
say.
rating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And even their offense, I mean, they're scoring 5 more points a game since the All-Star break, going from 115 to 120 a game, but it's still not it's still not translating to wins in any way. You got rid of Nurkic, thinking maybe he was part of the problem. It's like nothing is helping this team get better. And yes, I agree. Bradley Bill's been stealing money for a while, and proud to tell you about it. When there's no trade clause, he's happy. Devin Booker, we argue about the validity of Devin Booker's talent translating the wins. But I think we all agree that KD is a Hall of Fame legitimate, top something player of all time. The fact that the sum of these parts is translating to nothingness is just confounding.
I was looking through the stats, right? Just trying to figure out, just like you, like what's wrong the defense. And it's like ultimately if you want to be successful in this league, your team has to be awesome or elite at something. And they're not that. They're not awesome or elite at anything. As much as KD, Booker, and Beal are touted for their scoring prowess, they're not outscoring teams. You get what I mean? They're not rated as the top scoring teams in the NBA. Like, they're not excelling at a single solitary thing.
No.
And at the end of the day, you need to at least do that to be somewhat competitive, especially in this Western Conference.
And realistically, look at their roster construction. It's not good.
Mm.
After you talk about those three guys, who else is
Who
left?
else?
Royce O'Neal.
Yes.
Best thing Royce O'Neal got going on for him is that he done wifed up Paige Hurd. Okay, like who else? Who else?
Well, the thought was that Tyus Jones would be a legitimate point guard for them, right? That would at least solidify how abysmal they were in fourth quarters last year. But even this year, they still have a negative turnover margin. They turn the ball over more than the small amount of turnovers that they create during the game. So even that hasn't panned out. And Tyus Jones was like a sure one thing Tyus Jones did not do was turn the ball over, right? Led the league in a assist to turnover ratio for like 4 or 5 straight years. It's like, okay, they got Tyus Jones. That's going to solidify that part. Even that hasn't worked. And I think the part that you're not even talking about.
They got the wrong Martin, brother.
They do. They do. I think the part that we're not even talking about is that it just seems like they don't like each other. It seems like they've quit on each other, that they're tired of playing together. You had you had the KD trade rumors during the trade deadline when he was rumored to go. He turned down a potential Golden State deal.
Yeah, he
right?
did.
I think he was upset that his name was even out there like that. Which you can go a couple different directions with that, but just from the standpoint of their happiness with each other, yeah, Budenholzer requesting that Devin Booker tone it down some. He was being too vocal a voice in the locker room.
Really?
And in the
I didn't hear that. Wow.
Yeah. He asked Devin Booker if he could tone it down so that more of the coach's voice could be heard, and that didn't go over well either. Devin Booker came out with some shady comments in the interview a couple weeks after that, saying basically that there's no they needed a louder voice to get them through. Yeah.
So Budenholzer is out. Jesus. Okay.
But I mean, what Jay say about one album in 10 years? I mean, three coaches in 3 years, I can divide, just saying.
But okay, let's talk about it from a solution focus real quick. What is the next move? Because from my perspective, I believe that Bradley Beal is holding them hostage with his no trade clause. But what do you do? So if you're in the front office of the Phoenix Suns, what is your next step? Do you blow it up?
I don't see why not.
But
because
I guess my question is, Lou, will you ever, which they possibly could, if you blow it up, right? Will you, I guess, what's the recoup time on that? Because you're essentially letting, as much as we give them, grief, it's still KD, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal. Like, what's your haul gonna be?
My G, but if you can't even get into the playoffs, those names mean nothing. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, you have all these younger teams that are going to be good for a long time, with your OKCs, with your Minnesotas. Yeah, the Nuggets are looking like how the Spurs were. Don't matter. Don't even take a look at what the beginning of the season is, because by the time playoffs are going to roll around, they'll be a top 4 team because of just their construction and having arguably the best player in the world, right? So what do? You got to take the chance as an organization, unless you're just okay with being mediocre and you're like, cool, having the names of KD and Devin Booker, Beal is gonna.
Now, yeah.
No, well, I'm just
That's a
saying,
little
like some
less than
teams,
me.
let's be real. Some teams are okay with just filling their seats, man. The Knicks were like that for a very long time because they had a trash owner in Dolan, right? So you knew it was the Garden. So you're gonna sell out every season. You're gonna see celebrities and all that. So for
That's
a
true.
smaller market team like Phoenix, what do?
Nah.
You just
I
take
know
big.
that's true, Hans. That's true. That's true.
I
Don't
had to. I'm
co-sign
saying
this.
that's facts,
Don't
man. That's
co-sign
facts.
this
We're
town
speaking
trickery.
facts on
But
this
keep
podcast.
going, Lou. Keep going.
Just saying. Yo, look, man. Everybody can catch strays, man. Look, my squad hasn't been good. We're still living off of the success of D Rose, man. Like we got nothing left, man. So, but if I'm Phoenix, I think about what can I do just similar to how OKC did it. Blow it up, and
And
then
get
let's try
picks.
to recoup it on the back end. Try to get another big name that's younger, where you are able to pay him some money, get you some picks for the other guys, and then start the process that the Sixers have yet to start or complete themselves.
The never-ending process.
Never in the process. You know what they're like? They're like, when something's loading and the thing in the circle thing just keeps there, just stays there, it's stuck on that screen. That's Philadelphia. So we'll see. But nah, if you're Phoenix, blow it up.
I think the only problem with that is one, they don't own any of their picks. Two, the way they're capped out. The new cap really puts a lot of restrictions in what they can get back for a trade. But I do agree with you from the standpoint that at this point, KD kind of has to be gone because you already tried to trade him and he's already upset about it. So he kind of has to go this summer. And now you're looking at, okay, what does the future, the next 4 years of Devin Booker and Bradley Beal look like, right? So now you've got to consider that. The only problem is Bradley Beal has made it clear that he's fine making his money and being
Listen,
on sorry teams. And and Phoenix has great weather. So if you come out of this with Bradley Beal as the last man standing of a roster that had KD and Devin Booker on it, like that's more depressing than just letting this team fail itself for the next few years.
hey, yo, you hit the nail on the head for me. When they were earlier on in the season, when they're talking about rumors and everything, for this man to say, hey, man, my family's settled, man. I like the weather here. This man's not thinking about winning. You say you don't want to leave because the PR, right? The cliche sentence is, no, I think we honestly have a shot here. We may have to do a little tweaks here and there, but I believe in this team, and I think we have a shot for a championship. This man said, hey, man, my family likes the weather here, man. We're settled. It's nice. Why would I want to go
You got
anywhere
In-N-Out
else?
Burger. I'm cool. It
Yo,
don't rain too
mama.
much.
My man said, I heard DC had 2 snowstorms this year. Okay, in Phoenix, you can
Can't
get out.
relate.
You can get out the pool. You don't even need a towel to dry out. I'm straight.
Listen, man,
I
this
get it.
man is content. Talk about an early retirement.
Man, you know what? His agent needs to be studied. You know what I mean? Because that man is a magician. He is a magician. Keep that man on retainer. I got agents getting paid.
Listen, man. Well, he's opportunistic too, right? I think they took advantage of some down years with Wall being injured, and Bradley Beal stepped up, filled that void, balled out. I'll give him credit on that, right? He balled out, earned that first big contract, and then from then on, it was just a ripple effect. It was just a ripple effect.
I think when you're getting money and you get to fill the role of that guy for a period of time, because right or wrong, for 5 years in DC, right, especially once Wall was injured, like Bradley Beal, he wore the marquee role. He put up 30 a game. He got max dollars, every dollar that came with it. And we like to think that every one of these players is 100% committed towards winning championships no matter what. You making $40-50 million a year playing basketball, from time to time, because he definitely gets hurt a lot. I mean,
He don't care about no
Yeah,
game,
Yo,
nothing. Play. He
is
don't care about
Bradley
no
Beal
accolades.
the employee who comes in late, uses up all his PTO, calls out here and there, and it's just happy to be here, man.
You know what?
Y'all go
Yeah,
pay me. Who comes in
you
late,
know
leaves
Bradley Beal
early.
is. Guy, you know what he's like? He's like that one higher up that brought in like so much business at one point, and he's still riding the coattail of that accomplishment. That barely be showing up, but they're gonna be like, but he brought in that $60 million contract. That was 5 years ago, bro. Come on, man.
The business has changed since then.
Hey, man. Now you got some. Everybody else is just like, bro. Fam is always sick or killed off all his grandmothers, all four of them.
Wow. Got you. All right, fellas. Let's we're done talking about these white dwarf sons. We'll move on. We'll move on to a shinier team. You know who we're talking about? We have our prerequisite Laker segment. We're here for it. So
Actually, I'm not, but whatever.
okay, we're all here. So the Lakers have won. They were on a what was that? A 4-game losing streak? I think it was a 4-game losing streak. LeBron goes down with a groin injury. And we said last week, Luka looked like he was kind of holding his back. I don't think they have him listed officially as having a back injury, but nevertheless, he doesn't look like he's fully healthy. So they start going on a 4-game skid. They just got out of that by beating the aforementioned Phoenix Suns. What do we think about these Lakers? Now,
That's
as we're say it again.
That's not an accomplishment.
It's not an accomplishment. Listen, man, they did something. All right. As currently, while we're recording right now, the Lakers are 5th in the standing. They have Golden State breathing down their necks right now, who we'll talk about later. I'll start off with this. I don't know how confident I would be if I were a Laker fan about them staying in playoff contention. I think they are dangerously close, if not fated, to be in the play-in tournament. My issue, if I'm a Lakers fan, is do we want to take that risk? And do we have the capacity to ball out and stay in playoff contention?
What risk you talking about?
The risk given that Luka is theoretically not 100%, right? And LeBron is tending to his groin issue, one would say, you know what? Let's kind of, not necessarily free fall, but we'll compete, but we're not worried. LeBron gets back. We're going to ball out and we're going to run through the play-in. Or do we continue to ball out, press Luka, you get what I mean, and try to stay in these playoffs so we don't have to deal with the play-in? So the risk, I think, in going to the play-in tournament is that anything can happen. You feel me? Because if we're honest, one of these teams in the play-in, i.e. if Minnesota's there, if Golden State's there, do you really want to tussle with Minnesota or Golden State in a play-in scenario? Is that really going to work in your favor? Unless you fall really low in the play-in, you get what I'm saying? And have to tussle with a Sacramento or the Clippers, maybe. That's what I mean.
So I'm gonna let Lou go only because I've spent the last couple months saying how confident I was in the Lakers' ability, but we all know that Lou has affectionately christened this team as
Laying poppies.
so it's only right with them teetering closer to this brink that I let my good brother Lou
Look,
have the floor first to lay out his thoughts.
I'm just saying. Well, there's not too much to be said in the fact that we've seen this. We've seen this story before, right? We've seen this. We've seen this play out before, and in multiple ways. One, just to address one of the things you talk about, Hans. I think what happens from a PR perspective, it doesn't look good if they decide to. Oh well, maybe we'll rest Luca with the center if they don't continue to make that run, that push, right? And I think there's a part of LeBron is like, kind of want to shut the naysayers up, right? But another thing that's consistent that we've seen before is, well, I mean, it's been an interesting stat. I don't know if you guys saw when saw the do. I saw a tweet, either a tweet or TikTok about it, where they've lined up over the past 5 years LeBron when it comes to March, and how he always has some injury that has him out for a particular amount of time. I think the only one was,
That's
I
my
think,
theory.
2021. But he meant, yeah, there 1 or 2 games. But if that's happening, which I wouldn't be surprised at, yeah, then they are probably doing some sort of load management, some backdoor load management to prepare for the play, to gear up for that. Because hey, somebody got to be on the floor. If it ain't Luca, it got to be LeBron, or vice versa. So I think that, yeah, this is a way to preserve themselves, to get to the play-in, to be able to make sure that they can get to the play-in.
Preserve
And
themselves to get playing is a
I'm
wild
just saying,
statement.
man.
That is
Hey,
a
look,
wild statement.
I stand on it, man. And I think the novelty of them coming together, that little streak they had, yeah, that's it's run its course. This is a crunch time, as you prepare for the playoffs. And I think the teams that are going to rise to the top are the teams that have the construction to be able to do so. And the Lakers aren't one of them, in my eyes.
So I I think first off, if we believe what we've heard coming out of this weekend, that LeBron is ramping up, and from what we've seen in video of him at state championship games, looking pretty nimble, jumping up and down, celebrating and whatnot. I do think he's closer to getting back on the court than later. At the time of when this recording comes out, they've got the Nuggets Wednesday night and the Bucks on a back-to-back. Would they risk it on a back-to-back, or would they bring them back on one leg of that? We'll see. And then they end the month with the Grizzlies and the Rockets, and then they have a couple games. They have 2 games against the Thunder in April. They got the Warriors again still. So they've got some difficult games on their schedule, but they've also got some winnable games. I throw that out to say that they are 2.5 games up on both the Warriors and the Timberwolves as of right now. 2 teams that are definitely streaking in the right direction as we speak. The challenge with this team, I think, is going to continue to remain one. They all have to get back healthy, because they're I won't go far as say they're a thin roster, because they have accumulated some depth over the course of this season, but they're a
It's okay.
small
You can say
roster.
it.
Well, they're
You
a
say
small roster. I like their roster when they're healthy. They're just small. So even though like Jackson Hayes is really the only center that they have, right? When Rui's out, when LeBron is out, like those are big forwards at least. And so when you don't have them, I mean the team is just tiny, and it's not constructed for how Luka plays best. So they need to be healthy and everybody to get back soon if they're going to hold on to, I'd say at least a top 5 position, which I still think they will. I don't think they'll end up in the play-in, but they
Oh, so you
definitely need
think
to
they're
be
not gonna make
healthy
the
for
playoffs? I got it. That's what's up.
this one here. Listen,
Yes,
as
Lou, I
long
like
as
it. Portland's gonna rise from the ashes, and we're just gonna keep going up. And I love it. I love it. So, Lou, you alluded to my theory, and thank you for backing it up with stats. With evidence. So my theory was LeBron is taking his time so he could come back and be the white shining armor, or black shining armor. We'll keep it Black Power. You know what I'm saying? So he could be the hero. And I think it's strategically done. Ev alluded to it as well, too. Guys, let's be honest. Let's look at the schedule, yo. So San Antonio, they're playing as we recorded, right? They have Denver and Milwaukee on a back-to-back. He's not coming back for Denver. He don't want no smoke there. He's going to come back for the Milwaukee, and they're going to win, possibly. Milwaukee's still kind of shaky. And then you have the Bulls. Sorry, Lou. You have Orlando, you have the Pacers, you have the Bulls again. That is prime LeBron coming back and them rattling off 2, 3 in a row right there, riding that momentum and them getting right back to where they want to be. I think it's strategically planned. I would be surprised. Okay, I'm calling it right now. I would be shocked if LeBron didn't come back on that Bulls game. I think he's coming back for the Bucks, but I would be shocked if we don't see LeBron suiting up for that Bulls game, so they could ride that wave. Because to me, that's LeBron-esque right there. It's not a big marquee team, light work. Let's get it in. We're off, guys. I'm here for you. We're back.
Yeah, gosh, bro.
So Pop Mama's trying to throw cold water on our text. He's saying that reports saying that LeBron will be out at least another week.
I don't care what
I don't
the
know if that's
reports say.
official or not, or
I don't care what the reports say.
Those are Twitter reporters, but
yeah, I don't care because LeBron's gonna do what I say he does, which is be himself. He's gonna come back, and he's gonna
for the dramatic.
Yeah, man. Because think about it, it doesn't make sense. Because if he comes back that week, that's their hard stretch. They got Golden State, they got OKC. You know what I mean? Like these are teams that you don't want to ramp up against. If I'm him, I'd do it against Pacers, Orlando. You get what I mean? Like that's what I would do.
So let's talk about it for a second. Let me throw a take out here. You know, I like to psychoanalyze LeBron from time to time. Do you think LeBron may be milking this injury a little longer? Just, you know, we had all this Luka praise, Luka hype. It's Luka's team now. Do you think LeBron just, you know, milking this a little longer? Let the team struggle a little bit so they can remember that you need me. You know,
he's pulled the Kobe.
I am still the king. I mean, you know,
that seems
I'm
like a
not putting
Laker
any
attribute
names out there. I'm not putting
that seems
any
like a
names
Laker
out.
attribute. I'm just saying that sounds like a Laker move.
Nah, because I don't think Kobe would do that. So,
I mean, Kobe did. Remember that playoffs with the Phoenix Suns where he ain't put up shots?
Kobe was on the court though for that. Though Kobe ain't missing games to make.
That's the Kobe not missing games
on the court.
LeBron does this annually. You know, this is an annual. You know, absence make the heart grow fonder. He takes that card seriously.
De'Aaron Fox is out for the year with the pinky surgery. And if it was Kobe, he would have just taped that shit up with his ring finger and continue to shoot.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Kobe would be playing like this right now.
Yeah, that's Kobe. Kobe shot his free throw with a popped Achilles. That's Kobe Bean, man.
Yeah, man. I'm sure if Wemby could, Kobe. If Wemby could, he'd be out on the floor right now. But the doctor's probably like, "Hey, bro, we need you to live, okay? Well, you just got here. We need you for a while."
That's a blood thing, though. So I don't blame Wemby for like that.
No,
that's not a pain tolerance issue. That's just like a.
No, that's a life. You can mess around
life-threatening
and
issue.
take a stroke. Yeah. So
according to the Pod Mamba, Shams reported that LeBron will be out for another week. So clearly, Shams, the Pod Mamba, they don't like my theory. They're still wrong because we are still the #1 basketball podcast in the universe. So we usurp everybody. That's just. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. That's just the hierarchy of things.
That's what it is.
That's just what it is. So you know, but I mean, I just think it just makes sense. Why would you come back on the harder end of the schedule? Especially, okay, let's say LeBron is, unless the injury is more than what he's saying. That's what I'm getting at. So if the injury is more than what you're than what it is, because he initially said it's not that deep. It's not like the previous groin injury he had, right? I think it was last year, maybe the year before. I don't keep up with LeBron's groin. So I'm not sure on the timing on that. Pop
You
Mama could
funny as
probably
that.
correct me. But if he's saying that it's not that serious, then why not come back and get in basketball shape during the lighter stretch of your team schedule? Because like we all know, and athletes has said, right, you can't simulate in game. You just have to get out there. You just have to get out there. And I know he's a freak of nature and he's doing things nobody has, but he's still 40, still a human being. So you have to kind of get out there. Unless the groin is really hurting him more than what he said. It's just my theory though, man.
Yeah,
I think he definitely has playoff plans. I want to ask y'all about two things about the Lakers real quick before we're off topic. One, thin roster right now, small roster, I should say. They rescinded this Mark Williams trade when it was basically just Dalton connecting a draft pick for Mark Williams. He's been playing in most of Charlotte's games, at least 8 of their last 10 since the trade was rescinded. Do you think the Lakers may have made a mistake in not just carrying that trade through, given how the roster looks right now and what it was that they would have given up for him? I mean, it's not like he's unless he's never going to play basketball again type of injury. I'm just trying to understand, I mean, okay, last 5 games, 18 and 15, 14 and 10, 14 and 14, 24 and 10, 12 and 8 from Mark Williams. Think the Lakers could use that in the middle right now?
Definitely.
You're not wrong, but I need you guys to correct me on this. Was the initial failing of the physical, was it his knees or his back?
I have to go back and check. It may have been his back. I know it was unrelated to the
that's
injury
what gets
that kept
me.
him out. I think it was
If it's your back, given
knees.
you think it was his knees. So for me, if it's his back, given the complexity of back issues and how long it takes to come back with that, if I'm the Lakers, I err on the side of caution with that. That's why I think they may have backed away from it. But to your credit, like you said, to his last 4 or 5 games, he's putting up double-digit points and rebounds. So that's definitely something you could have used. I don't know. And maybe they have PTSD from, AD being injured and they don't want a big who may have injury prone and et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. And given the people they have, you needed an athletic big, right, to go with Luka.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lob catching big. And I guess that's just where I come from with the question. It's like, for what they were giving up for him, like, I don't think Dalton Connect projects to be a superstar in the league. Yeah, it is one draft pick, but once you trade for Luka, the value of one first rounder kind of comes down some, right? So it wasn't like they were mortgaging their future for their risk. They would have had to pay him. Right? So that's not nothing. But to maximize, because we're looking at a team that did lose 4 straight without LeBron, although Luka did play well, get better in those games. To fully maximize what Luka does well on the court, right? I look at that and I just think, do the Lakers feel? I wonder what the Lakers feel about that choice now. Like, I think they felt at the moment that the trade was a little too rich for their blood, moved a little too soon. So I think that's why they pushed to get back out of that trade. I wonder if they're sitting on it, considering whether maybe they should have went forward with it. Just curious.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? Do you look at risk versus reward? Risk, if he is injured. He doesn't get on. He's not able to be on the floor. You're down 2 bodies now, right?
Yeah.
And with this current roster construction, you need all the bodies you can get.
Fair,
So,
very fair, very fair, very fair.
so I agree with Hans that they probably will err on the side of caution. We'll work with what we have. LeBron will go take I don't know, man. He'll go be in the what was it in Dragon Ball Z the hyperbolic chamber for March,
Every
and then
year,
come back
every year.
every year. Go to the hyperbolic chamber and then come back.
I mean, that's fair. So with this, right? Let's talk about this. The Pod Mamba so proudly boasting the stats of his backcourt, claiming them to be one of the top backcourts in the league. This Luka Austin Reeves situation they got going on here.
Can I say what I call him on public podcasts?
Oh yeah, you can.
All
Go
right.
ahead. Give that backcourt their nickname. Go ahead, man. What's their nickname?
That's white privilege right there. Okay?
Hey, man.
I
Go
like
ahead.
it. I
All
like
right,
it. I
man.
like it.
Hey, man. They out here, man, righting wrongs, man. So representing. But nonetheless, they are balling out. It does bring the question, though. What's Austin's role in this team? Is his name now Austin Trade Bait Reeves? He's balling out with Luka. Is this a byproduct of LeBron being gone? Is this a glimpse of the future?
His name is
Where does
Austin,
he fit in?
Austin Trayvon Reeves.
Trayvon, sorry. I thought it was Quentin. He has some
Yo,
soul, so that's why it's not white
yeah.
privilege anymore. He had to douse the white privilege off a little bit.
Well, when you look at Austin Reeves and you look at who Luka has had as his sidekicks, right, over the last few years, I think one, you definitely have to have someone that can stretch the floor. I think Austin's shooting 36% from three this year, as a high of 39.5 2 years ago from three. So he's solid, not spectacular, but he's solid from three. You ideally you would think you want somebody who picks up defensively from where Luka lacks defensively. Austin Reeves, capable, but definitely not a game changer defensively from that standpoint. But what he does give you, though, is definitely high basketball IQ and a very versatile offensive skill set. He's shown the ability to be both a creator, to create his own shot, which would take pressure off of Luka, not only a Luka, but a LeBron as well, at his age, while also being able to be timely and differential when those two are on the court. So you look at what what Austin has done this year, and he's definitely fitting the archetype of a multifaceted shooting guard, right? One that can fill in that role and slide out of that role when more ball handling responsibilities are needed. So he's not at Kyrie level, but definitely I would say above the Tim Hardaway Jr. level of Luka's sidekick. And if that's what you're getting with a young player on an excellent contract whose stock is trending upward, I think if you have him as Luka's sidekick, then you definitely have more of a solution than a problem on your hand. Where the problem is going to come into is there, if the right contract, or not the right contract, if the right superstar comes available, he's going to be the first name that any team asks for.
Yeah, right. Facts. What he should really hope for, which what Christian, the Pod Mamba, mentioned, is that Connect continues to rise his stock. That's what Austin should really hope for. Connect rises his stock, and then he becomes the trade bait rather than Austin. But like you alluded to, Ev, if you want anybody of any substance, a superstar, a legit guard to be a good fit with Luka, you're definitely gonna probably have to float the idea of Austin Reeves. All right, guys. Let's move on to the last but not least. We have some streaking teams right now, teams that were struggling in the beginning part of the season, but they seem to have found their stride, whether it be players fitting in better or acquiring somebody via trade. We're talking specifically about the Golden State Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves. As we're recording right now, the Minnesota Timberwolves are 7th seed and the Golden State Warriors are the 6th seed. They are tied in the loss. No, they're Golden State is up one in the loss column. And I, for one, am shocked about the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm gonna be out here and say it. I did not think they were gonna find it and get it together like this, but they have. They've been making a run. They're beating some teams now, albeit they've had a little pudgy schedule here and there. But like we said, if you beat who you're supposed to beat, right, you'll get where you need to be. Nevertheless, y'all, I am honestly pleasantly surprised though. Pleasantly surprised because I think they add a new wrinkle. They add a new wrinkle to this playoff and this play-in matchup as a team that made it all the way to, Western Conference Finals last year, and they're told it to be the up and coming, right? The team to look out for. They're the next one up. So to see them back in contention is awesome. And then we have the Golden State Warriors, guys, who are still coming off their legacy as a dynasty, as a team who a couple years ago was at the top of the league. They just won a championship a few years ago. Do they still have it? Can they get it together? Can Steph really lead a team without Clay? Is Draymond? All the narratives, guys, all the narratives. They acquired Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler was also a question mark. Will he fit in? Will him and Draymond coexist? Will they get together? Well, clearly they're doing something. But I don't want to put too much out there, but is that another high? Like the Lakers, remember? Insert Luka, ride a high, shoe comes off. Is this Golden State's Laker version of that, right? We're riding this high. Is the shoe going to drop? I'll let you guys come in wherever you see fit, whichever angle you want to tackle. I'll start with you, Lou.
Well, I mean, I like Minnesota. I think Minnesota, it was just a matter of when, not really if, in terms of them kind of finding their footing. We realized, in that trade, they were supposed, the trade made sense, right? And getting Julius Randle, I think that they just had to, go back and forth. The personalities were going to clash. It was going to be in Randle. Could Randle be able to come in and take that second fiddle role? And then, but their roster, as it already was a solid roster. It's a team that has some depth to them. If you compare them to a team like the Lakers, you have some guys who could really bully you in the paint. So long. And if everybody's healthy, it's going to be tough to beat them in the 7-game series. So if they do come out of the play-in, and if they come up in standings out of the play-in, I think they will, because I think they'll end up being a playoff team. I think that they have a real chance.
But like I said, make it in.
I think they make it in because I think that they make a run for in these next couple months, right? These next 2 months, I think that they make a serious run that brings them up. I don't think they're too far out of the playoff window for that to happen.
Let me take this moment here just to wax poetic about a guy that I got to know very well over the past few years, that although he is no longer on my team, still an affectionate part of our fabric, the one Julius Randle.
There you go.
The Minnesota Timberwolves 11-1 in the past 12 games that Julius Randle has played in.
They lost tonight to the Pacers.
I'm counting that as 11-1.
Okay.
They were 11-0 prior to tonight versus the Pacers in the last 12 games that Julius Randle has played in. Lou said it best. With a trade of, I don't want to say that magnitude, but a trade like that being made when Minnesota was coming off of a season as successful as they had last year, there was going to be an adjustment period. You guys asked me at the beginning of the season what I thought about Julius Randle in this role, and I said that he had found the best version of himself last year with the Knicks, and it's a particular role that it was going to take time and be challenging for him to fit into that with Minnesota. When Julius Randle's at his best, he honestly should be the second best player stat wise in every single stat that the team has. What I mean, he should be second in rebounds, second in assists, second in points, right? Like he should be second in everything on the team. And you're seeing that coming into fruition the last few weeks. Dante DiVincenzo, not to just talk about former Knicks.
I was about to say, man, you just rattling off these Knicks
I
players,
am,
man.
I am still
This
paying
is a Knicks
attention.
take right now. All right, go ahead. If
This
we had
is
no
this
Lakers
is
segment,
Knicks
this is
Knicks take by
segment.
proxy. Yes.
Go
And
ahead.
Ant, don't get me wrong. Ant has looked spectacular. He's been consistent all year, to be honest. Especially, Ant had a habit of just having some clunky stats. But one of the things that I said for Ant coming into this year is that if you're going to be a quote unquote superstar, you got to score more than 26 points a game. I think that's a
facts.
firm line there. And he's held that since the start of the season, 27.4 for the game. And I think he's even scaled down the 3-pointer some
That's what I was
from
gonna
the
say.
high that he was shooting at the beginning of the
First,
year.
I was concerned at the method he was using to go about it, but like you said, I think he's found a balance.
Yeah.
He's found his equilibrium, and also too, it's helped that Randall has elevated his play as well too. I think in the beginning of the season, he had to do what he had to do because Randall was still getting adjusted, right? And they were still trying to figure out who they were, what they looked like, et cetera, et cetera. But I like the point that you're proving out here, Ev, as far as is going, is that he's kind of found how to keep that superstar level going throughout the season. So what I'm also hearing is that you don't agree with D'Lo, because D'Lo was on a podcast with Karl Anthony Towns and essentially said, hey man, it looks like Minnesota needs what they traded away, myself and you, Cat. That's what they need to be successful. So I
mean, Cat probably agreed out loud, but agreed with the Cat part of that statement.
Not the
you
D'Lo
know
part,
how that goes when your friends are talking and you be like, yeah, you remember when we was, and you be like, yeah. Really, you remember when I was, but I wanna, sure, yeah, man. But that's Pop Mama's point guard right there. He needs that TO meme when he talks about D'Angelo Russell.
D-Lo.
All right, y'all. Let's move on to the Golden State part of this right here. So Golden State out here, they're making a run, man. They insert Jimmy Butler into the lineup. They give up Wiggins, and they also just got back Kuminga. So he's come back recently and fitting into the fold. They're different with him. He inserts some energy on both ends of the floor, and they look different. They look younger. They look spry. They get up and down quicker. He definitely is needed and was missed, and they're out here making things happen. How believable is this run right now? Like I alluded to earlier, is this just a, hey man, we're all happy to be here, this is a burst of new energy, Jimmy Butler's here, Jimmy Buckets is here? Or is this kind of what we are going to see from the Golden State Warriors moving forward? Where are we at with this?
I'm curious to see how much gas is in the tank, for this team. But the one thing I will say is there's a lot of playoff pedigree on this team. So there's going to be some things in terms of how they plan, right? Because they're probably thinking about that right now. Okay, how do we make sure that we can make this stretch that gets us into the playoffs, and then be able to maintain through that, right? They have some, like you mentioned, having Kuminga back is a major for that team.
And then also Moses Moody is balling too. But go ahead.
Fact. So no, what you bringing up are guys that they invested in and it's paying dividends, but with a heavy amount of playoff pedigree and experience. So I think, and then also things that are going to make the game easier for some of the players. Like, Jimmy obviously makes the game easier for Steph, right? You don't have Clay anymore. You don't have necessarily a splash brother game. And then let's be real, man. The Miami Heat teams that Jimmy Butler but through didn't have. We weren't nowhere near as good as in terms of construction as these teams, right? So I'll take an old Steph over Tyler Hero.
How dare you besmirch the one drop step Bam Adebayo right now? How dare you? Lou, I'm appalled.
Up, down, up, down, up, down. X.
I'm appalled.
Come on, man. Yo, if you line this up, man, Jimmy on this team is a significant upgrade. And the only unfortunate part about it is that you're playing in the Western Conference, right? Where the competition is a lot thicker than what you have to deal with while being in Miami. But I think that they're going to find a way to maintain this. They may not necessarily be to this high level, but they're going to be able to have some type of maintenance in between their coaching and their pedigree. They're gonna play some great basketball. I think they all feel like they got some new life. So this is I'm excited to see where they finish out this season.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm willing to be completely wrong come season's end, although I don't think I will be. In the words of my good friend Hans Luador, I think this is fool's gold.
Okay.
And here's what I mean by it. I think the volatility of this team, the combustible mix, the likelihood of both Draymond and Jimmy Butler composing themselves.
I'm here for that.
Through multiple playoff rounds. I don't see it.
I'm here for that.
Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, potential. Somewhat being realized, but from what we've been told that they were is the future, there's still potential. You know how I feel about potential. This team is a great story right now, but when I see Jimmy Butler occasionally scoring 11 points, occasionally scoring single-digit points, and the way it's being sold to me is that he's happy to be here, right? He's unselfish. That sounds great now in March, right? In May, when this team isn't scoring enough points to keep up with these young teams that are surrounding them, it's going to boil over as frustration. That's my prediction, and I'm okay with being wrong.
You have no faith in their composure.
I just think they're old and cranky. I mean, we all are. Listen, I get frustrated when I wake up in the morning. Too.
Listen, man, some people call it crankiness, some people call it edge. But nonetheless, though, I think it's a team that we need to worry about. I think given their pedigree, it's a team that we should really kind of look at. And the reason I say that is because, in my opinion, I could be wrong, and I know we're about to end. We still have two shaky teams, in my estimation, that are in playoff contention, and that's the Memphis Grizzlies and that's the Houston Rockets. They're shaky, in my opinion. I think they can be gotten, just as although they are currently playoff contention, I think they're teams that can be gotten and can be preyed upon by a Golden State or a Minnesota Timberwolves. Just my estimation, but it remains to be seen. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody here joining us. As always, hit us up on our socials. We appreciate all your support and allowing us to continue to be the #1 basketball podcast in the universe. Thank you. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Hey, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, give us a thumbs up. If you really, really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button and the notification button so you can keep up with us every week. Be sure to follow us on all our socials at the 3on3 Podcast. Hey, got a question, topic you want us to talk about? Hit us up on our email at 3on3podcast@gmail.com. We appreciate y'all. Tune in next week.